Sorry again for the late start. Tech issues, but we solved them. So today we are covering a balanced design and designing a procedure. We're talking about worship, evangelism, and creative ministry. We're doing it backwards though. We're going to do 4 and 5 of program first. Then we'll go into design, and then we'll end with creative ministry if we have time. If not, we'll save it to next week. That's the plan. Got it? Good stuff? Let's go. Anything from last week? Anything from the readings? Anyone want to share anything from the readings? No? That's okay. We're behind schedule, so I won't push. But just a quick review. What is the purpose of youth ministry? What's the purpose? Make disciples. Amazing. All right. And then what are the 5 practices of the church? What are the 5 practices that we should be doing in our youth ministry? 5 things. What are they? Worship, teaching, mission, prayer, fellowship. I think someone said it, fellowship, right? So those memorized. You're going to go through those a lot, right? Those are the 5 practices. And then last week we talked about the different people that are coming to our Sunday school. What are the 4 different groups of people that are coming? Remember? Community. Nope. Commission's the last one. Community, coming, committed, and commission. Community, coming, commission. And we want to make sure that when we do all of these 5 practices, that we're hitting all 4 of those groups to make sure that they all have something in each lesson and each ministry. Okay? We talked about models last week. We went through all of the different models, and we talked about the differences in each model. And what the book says is that the book asks you to take one model and use that one model to create your ministry. I kind of disagree. I feel like there's parts of every one of the models that should be in our ministry, right? There shouldn't just be one of them. But it talks about picking one and going with that one. That's up to you, how you want to design your youth ministry. All right. Models of ministry talked about. What does your youth ministry look like? So again, the idea of looking at the models, what does our youth ministry look like? What are we doing to make sure that our youth ministry is serving the purpose of making disciples? That's something that we're always looking to do. All right. Today we said we're going to talk about worship and evangelism first. So I want to start with worship. All right. And we'll spend a few minutes talking about worship. All right. Good. All right. That was a fast intro. When I talk about worship, what comes to mind? Just take a second, do a mental thought of what worship looks like to you. All right? Take a minute. You got it? What worship looks like? You got it? You got it? Look like this? You don't have to answer. Look like this? That? It's a little Protestant, but that's look at that. How about that? Right? And there really is no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer as to what worship is. We don't tend to do the top left and bottom right. We're not big on that in the Coptic Church. It's not wrong by any means. I'm not sure if you still do, but there was a time where in opening service there was a band that came in and did like in St. Mary's here, and there was drums and guitars and the whole bit in opening service, and that was happening. Does that still happen or no? No. There was a time when I'm sure actually had a choir team, had a band come in every opening service and do opening service with an actual band format where he brought in the stuff into St. Mary's and they did it. It was not that long ago. As part of opening service, it was good, but that doesn't have to be what worship is. I have a story from many years ago. Many years ago, when I was newly married, we took a group of youth to Mexico to build a house for a poor family and to do mission work. We went to Tijuana, which is a very poor area in Mexico. Before we went, we started off in California for a week because we went with a group. I can't remember what they were called, but they were like, the group that organized it for us, and it was they were non-denominational when we went. But when we went, we realized that they were very, very Protestant Anglican, right? Even though they call themselves non-denominational. But we were there for a week doing training on how to go into Mexico and the plays we were going to do and the things we were going to do to help, give Christ to these people in Tijuana. And I think it's the same thing right now. In Tijuana, there's lots of dark things happening. There's dark magic. There's witchcraft. Like you can go there and you can find people asking witches for, to give them their future. It happens, and that's where we went. We went into this area. But the week before, we took our youth and we were at this very Protestant Anglican retreat center, and every night was that. Every night we'd do our day things, and at night we'd go into their worship center, and it was amazing. It was, when I say it was amazing, it was loud, it was very moving, it was very, again, like they had music playing and all this business, and it was nice. It was nice. And then we were like, is this going to take our kids? Is this going to take our kids away from what they're doing in our church? Like, if this is going to be their norm, are they going to say we'd rather become Protestant as opposed to Coptic, because it was such a huge event every night. After the third night of this, the kids themselves came to us and said, "Can we just go somewhere and do our Agbayas?" The kids themselves, they liked it. It was great, and there's nothing wrong with it. But they were still rooted in, we just want to do the Agbaya one night. We don't want to do this whole big thing. And then I remember when we were there, one of our so we had all roommates, and my roommate was a youth leader he was a minister in a Protestant church, and he brought his youth to the same thing. And we were talking about worship, and and I told him, I go, yeah, our kids were so enthralled with the things that you do, and they were so happy with it. And we started worrying about, is this what they're going to want our church to become? And again, he was a Protestant pastor, and which was very interesting. He goes, understand that most of us here envy what you have. And what he said something very interesting. He said, we are like speedboats, is what he said. He goes, we're loud and shiny and fast, right? But any little wave and we're afraid it's gonna knock us over. He goes, you in the Coptic faith are like tugboats. He goes, you're not fast, you're not shiny, but you're solid. And he goes, you look at us, we look at you. And I'm not saying that what they're doing is wrong, but I'm saying that worship is different in different groups. And what we do as worship is great, right? The problem I have is I don't know that we do a very good job with teaching our kids to worship, a very good job of what worship looks like, right, in our church. And Agbeya is a great way to worship. When else do we do worship other than Agbeya? What's another time we worship? When? When do we worship? Once a week. Yes. Tasbeha. Tasbeha is worship, right? The Saturday night before church, or whenever, like, the night before church, when you go in and you do Tasbeha. Tasbeha is full worship. It's all it is, right? Praise God and all His saints, and you praise, and you sing the song about Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego, and about Moses, and the rocks praise you, and the birds praise you, and the air praise you. That's worship, and it's amazing, right? A lot of our kids aren't involved in Tasbeha as much as they should be, right? We really should work on getting our kids into Tasbeha, because it is a really good place to worship. But we want to spend some time talking about what worship is. All right. So at its most fundamental level, worship is worthship, giving to God what is His due worth. I want you to go to page in YMP, in this one, page 48 and 49. And this kind of gives you an idea of the idea of worship. And you can read it on your own, but look, this is where it talks about it. Worship is worship as spoken word, worship as symbolism. I think I have an activity here. Sorry, give me 1 sec. Okay. Really quickly, I want you to think of as many ways as possible. So here's what I wrote. List as, and you can just talk in your groups, list as many ways as possible that you think people can worship besides singing. All right. Other than singing, what are some other ways we worship? All right. And think about this, at church, at home, at work, at school. Other than singing, what are some other ways we worship? Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you 1 minute. Go ahead. What are some other ways we worship? Okay, what do we got? Some answers. What are some ways we can worship other than singing? What do we have? What are some ways we can worship other than singing? Service. Service is a way of worship. Absolutely. What else? Pardon? But choirs are singing. I'm saying other than singing. Other than singing. We worship in liturgy. Yep. Anything? Pardon? Our talents. We can worship through our talents. Yep. Give me an example. Can you? Painting. We can, yeah. Painting. We can worship with painting. For sure. It's a great one. Yep. No, say more. No, I like it. I like what you're saying. Say more. Say more. If you give it to God, then it's worship, right? So worship is about giving to God, right? So let's do a little activity. Here's what I ask you to do. Oh, quiet time's amazing, and Jesus' prayer is very good. Excellent. Thank you. Why isn't this working? Oh, hold on a second. I know why. Okay. There's 5 passages. 1, 2. Can you move over into another group? Maybe come over here. And we have 5 passages. I'm going to break you into 5 different groups. I'm going to give you a passage. Read the passage, discuss what does this teach us about worship, all right? And how can you put it into practice? So what does this passage teach you about worship? How can you put it into practice? 2 things. Got it? Okay? Let's see, 5, make this work. U3, and then if you come over, U3. So first verse, you guys do the psalm, okay? You guys do the other one, the symbolism, all right? Okay. Okay, you can all do sacrifice, Romans. 3, you do first Peter. And you guys do, actually, because they're bigger. I'm gonna wait. I'm lying. You guys do because you're a bigger group. Do the last one because it's 2 different readings. Okay. You 3 do sacrifice, and you guys do sanctification. All right, go. I'll give you 5 minutes. Read it. What? Yeah, he'll just give you that anyway. But if it's fractured, they're going to give you one of those anyway. They're not going to do anything different. They're not going to they'll just give you one of those. But it's not deformed though. That's fine. It's not deformed at all. No, it's not bent out of place. It's just a little swollen. Talking about her volleyball injury. It's fine. Okay. Spoken word. I give it to you. I give it to you guys. Okay. What do you got? So spoken word. What is this? Okay, the questions were, what does this teach us about worship? How can you put this into practice? Here. Speak into this. Go at home can hear.
When we read it, it says, "You have also given me the shield of your salvation. Your right hand has held me up. Your gentleness has made me great." And I think it really, like we said, it embodies God like a father figure, and that in worship we can always come to him because he's always protected. Like we can always lean on him, and we can always call out to him for help. And I think sometimes as teenagers, sometimes like they we have this view of God that God like is harsh or that he'll punish us if we sin, and it kind of creates like an unhealthy fear. But this is to like we really liked your right hand has held me up, almost like a child holding on to their father's hand. Like he's lifting us up and he's gentle, like, and so it creates almost like a comfort that when we come to worship or we come to pray, that we're not coming out of fear, we're not coming to just ask for something, but we're truly having like an actual relationship that's fatherly.
Amazing. Thank you. All right. Next group. Who has symbolism? You guys?
Yeah, so worship is symbolism. So first Psalm, Psalm 149, it says praise his name with dancing accompanied by tambourine and harp. So it's just like using different instruments, different whether it's through music or through arts or things like that. And it's just doing it in a way to express your appreciation of God's beauty,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, good.
And then the second Psalm, Psalm 8, it's actually one of my favorite Psalms.
Hmm.
It says, when I look at the night sky and see the works of your fingers, the moon and stars you have set in place, what are mortals that you should think of us? We are humans that you should care for us. This is just basically just going through walks like on nature, meditative. Even if it's, yeah, I can give the example of lighting a candle. Just again, appreciating God's nature and His beauty and His creation.
I have a video. If we have time, I'll show it about the stars that I found a while back that I'd like to share about worship. Sacrifice. What is sacrifice?
Okay, so our verse was, "And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind He will accept. When you think of what He has done for you, is it too much to ask?" So basically, from this verse, we kind of said, like, effort is worship, like doing effort to achieve anything, as well as worship can be sacrificing your own desires and, like, maybe your goals or your time or whatever to achieve something that you believe is in line or is for Christ. And then as for like applications, there's like so many of them. There's like fasting, service, like fighting your sins that you might be struggling with, sacrificing, for example, like watching an extra TV show to like do something or like outreach or prepare for lessons earlier. There's like a lot of
Thank you.
applications.
Yeah, and yeah, is fasting a form of worship?
Yes.
Absolutely. Right. It's the sacrifice, and you said it. Sacrifice is a form of worship. Absolutely. Sanctification. What is that?
Okay, so for sanctification, our verse was, "But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light," from 1 Peter 2:9. So we said in terms of worship, it's learning that worship is not just like an act. It's not like I go to church and it's a one-time thing during the week. It's actually more of like a way of life, and understanding that you've been set apart by God. And then in terms of the application, we said it's about also how like the youth are going to fill their time outside just, let's say, Sunday when they go to church and outside of Sunday school. So it's about the things that we kind of talked about already. So using your talents, being involved in other services like maybe homeless service if that's something that you're interested in, and just making sure that we're not kind of two-faced. So we act in a certain way in, let's say, in church, but then we maintain that behavior throughout the week as well.
Thank you. Okay, service.
So the first verse is basically what we got from it. Is our service is like an acceptable sacrifice. Our service is a sacrifice to God, and it's well pleasing to God. Basically, the context of the verse is like St. Paul receives like, I don't know, things from the like Philippians. And he says like it's a sweet smelling aroma, an acceptable sacrifice, well pleasing to God. And it times in with the second one.
What's the second one?
So the second set of verses, it's about when Christ was like like telling the people around him, how about like when they fed him or gave him drink or clothed him or visited him, they have like experienced him. And like in the same way he says that like whatever you do unto the least of one of my brethren, you have done unto me. But before that, he was saying like when like during the second coming, the people will be split into two, goats and sheep, right and left side. So the people on the right side, or those going into heaven, are this is what like sort of the criteria for that side would be, which be to serve or do these things. And then people would ask Christ, it's like, but we have not done these things to you, right? So he's saying that like if you do that to my brethren, you have done that to me. So in the same way, we see it as like when we help others, we see Christ and experience him. So practicing that, it's doing your services, whatever service it is that you're called to, or whatever is recommended to you by your father of confession. And in that, you're going to see Christ and experience him personally.
Thank you. So what this tells us basically is that worship really is everything that we do. This is the message. We often believe that worship is only the singing. It's only the temgid. It's only the egbeya. But if you think of God as your king, right? And we worship our king, and our life is for our king, right? Everything that we do is a form of worship because we're doing it for our king. All right? And we have to keep that in mind. But again, part of it also is understanding how awesome God is. We have to understand how awesome he is. Is there time for this video? Yeah, okay. Sure, let's watch it. Let's see if this works. Hold on. I want to see if the audio works. No, that didn't work. Oh. Come on. It's not liking it. No? Okay, I'll play around with it. I put that on your desk while I'm figuring this out. If we don't watch it, it's okay. I put that on your desk. I wanted to start with this, just as a little activity. Figure it out. Go. Okay. What did you learn from this? Really quick. What is it? What is it about? So how many sacraments are there? 7. What do you learn from this? Every sacrament has 2 things, has 2 components. Good job. Blessing and material. So what I told the kids was something you see, something you don't. Right? So I gave it to the kids in grade 2, and they put it together, and we talked about the 7 sacraments, and we said every sacrament has something that you see, something that you don't. The thing you don't see tends to be from the Holy Spirit or from God, and these are all gifts from God. So we started with asking the kids, can you think of a favorite gift you've ever gotten? And they talk about gifts they've gotten. And then we said the 7 sacraments are 7 gifts from God, or 7 graces from God. So just a really quick little fun activity to teach about the sacraments, right? Just an idea when you're preparing lessons, how to get kids involved, right? And if you realize, I gave the answer to the first one because I left the titles at the top, right? Yeah. And so because the titles were there, you can kind of fill in the blanks for the other ones, right? Just fun little activity. I want you to start with that. Okay, let's watch this. Guys, God provides. I found a speaker right here, and I connected it, and it works. Now you'll be able to hear this guy talk instead of from my computer is going to play from here. I just found this underneath the thing. So here you go. What God's worth, and there was a thing about the stars in the sky. I don't know. This is interesting. I've actually never used this in a Sunday school class. I never have, but I find it kind of cool. So I thought I'd show it to you.
The sun would be 15 feet in diameter.
Hold on.
Okay, that didn't seem to move anybody either. So let me try it a different way.
Hold on.
Let me just try it just a different way.
Why didn't it work?
So here's a little perspective that sort of changed my life. If the earth were the size of a golf ball, okay?
What?
The sun would be 15 feet in diameter. Okay.
Pardon? Pardon? I can't share the screen? Oh, I didn't. It's not shared? I thought it was shared. Oh, sorry. Let me do this again. Share. Okay. Is it shared? Okay, hold on. Let me see if we can get this. If share. Hold on. Mm. Is that the right one? Why isn't it playing on this guy? Hold on, I gotta disconnect for a second. Bluetooth. Yeah, it should be sharing. Okay. Okay, hopefully this works.
So here's a little perspective that
No, it's
sort
not
of changed
working.
my life. If the earth were the size of a golf ball,
That's okay.
Okay, the sun would be 15 feet in diameter. Okay, that didn't seem to move anybody either. So let me try it a different way. I thought I might need this, so I brought a golf ball. Okay, so all through the evening, this is going to represent Earth. All right, so this is where we are. I need everybody in the building to look as close. Okay, and when you found yourself, I want you to nod your head so that I know you've located you on the earth, okay? You nodding your head? Okay, you found yourself. If the earth were a golf ball, the sun would be 15 feet in diameter. That's not 15 feet diameter. Can we blow that up just a hair and maybe give them 15 feet diameter? So here's what. And that's the sun. It's so big. It's so big, you could put 960,000 Earths inside the sun. So if the Earth were a golf ball and the sun were 15 feet diameter, you could put 960,000 golf balls inside that 15-foot diameter sun. That's enough golf balls, by the way, because I know that seems like a big number, to fill a school bus with golf balls could fit inside the 15-foot diameter sun. It's a massive star, and it's one of hundreds of billions of stars.
Can I share my audio? Oh, geez, hold on. Okay, so can they hear it from here? So we're okay.
In the Milky Way galaxy, our cul-de-sac in the neighborhood called the cosmos that God has made. It's huge, and we're worshiping a star-breathing God tonight. I want to tell you about the second star, okay? Because the second star absolutely wrecked my life. I heard about it when I was a high school student. Hearing it, and one of our youth leaders did a talk, and he mentioned this star. I didn't know how to talk to God for about 2 months after I heard about this star. It's called Betelgeuse or Beetlejuice. You can pick your pronunciation. I'm obviously going with Beetlejuice, and Beetlejuice is incredible. Here it is in the night sky. I know it doesn't look incredibly ferocious, but it's 427 light years away. So that's 427 times 5.88 trillion miles away from us. Draw it in a little closer with the Hubble Space Telescope, and you can start to get a little bit of the feeling of its intensity. But this is the crazy thing about Betelgeuse. Are you ready for this? Betelgeuse is twice the size. Are you ready? You think I'm going to say twice the size of the sun? Oh no. It's twice the size of the Earth's orbit around the sun, Betelgeuse is. It's crazy. If the Earth were a golf ball, Betelgeuse would be the height of 6 Empire State Buildings on top of each other. So come on, have you seen the Empire State Building? I mean, maybe what you're going to need to do is gather the family, get a golf ball, get some plane tickets, and fly up to New York. And you're going to go into Midtown, you're going to take your golf ball and put it on the sidewalk outside the Empire State Building. Don't worry about people thinking you're crazy. They're not even going to notice you in New York. You're going to go across the street. You're going to look up at the Empire State Building and imagine 5 more Empire State Buildings on top of the Empire State Building. That's Betelgeuse, and that's the Earth, and somewhere you're on it.
Let's fast forward a little bit. He keeps going.
Musifi would be the width of 2 Golden Gate bridges end to end. Apparently, you're going to need to go from New York to the West Coast. Go to San Francisco with your family and your golf ball. Place your golf ball at the beginning of the Golden Gate Bridge. Go across the bay into Oakland to a high place where you can see the entire Golden Gate Bridge. Another second Golden Gate Bridge will be in your imagination. Span all the way back the 2 Golden Gate Bridges to the very beginning and find your golf ball over there. That's the Earth, and somewhere you're on it. One of the stars in the Milky Way galaxy. It's so big you could fit 2.7 quadrillion Earths inside this one star. 30,800,000. But Canis Majoris Fair from California to Kathmandu, Nepal. Almost 6 miles above sea level, the highest point on the planet. And I just dare you to get up there and unzip the parka and pull out your golf ball. You could fit 7 quadrillion Earths inside Canis Majoris. That's enough Earth, if the Earth were a golf ball, to cover the entire state of Texas in golf balls 22 inches deep. You see the one you're on? Maybe this will help a little bit more. This absolutely blew my mind. Just a little journey through our solar system. Everyone knows our planets, sort of how we fit in, story here. You see really quickly that we're not even the biggest deal in our own solar system, but as Earth comes by, you have to know tonight that we are living on a privileged planet. Anyone would tell you we're living at one of the most special places, if not the most special place in all of creation. But Neptune comes by and Saturn and then Jupiter, and you're like, okay, we're not all that big, even in our own little cul-de-sac. But just notice the blue dot fading away is not the Earth. That's Neptune. The Earth has got too small to see anymore. Sirius comes by. Little plug for satellite radio. Not the biggest star, but the brightest star that we have found so far. Pollux, which we didn't mention. Arcturus. Such a beautifully named one, Regal. but then the one that messed me up. Third star Musifi. Sifi's cousin WCP. Is Majoris. And do you know that you could come up here right now with a Sharpie and make a mark on the screen that would approximate the size of our sun? When you look at these in their relative size, we just have to put a little arrow over there that says, if you could put the sun on here, which you can't, it would go somewhere about here. And can you hang on that for me? And when you see this, I don't know what happens to you, but I'll tell you what happens to me. A shrinking feeling comes over me, and it's not a bad shrinking feeling. It's a good shrinking feeling. Because sin, it has a way of shrinking God down in our minds and puffing us up in our own estimation. But just a glance into the universe that God has made resizes everything in a heartbeat. And you realize tonight we are worshiping an unrivaled, uncontested God of all kind of might and power and glory and awe. There's none like him anywhere in creation tonight.
Oh, hold on. So yeah, just a little idea of when we say, what is God worth? It's a cool little video. He does a good job of showing, like the might of God and who he is. Again, I've never used it in a Sunday school class, but it's kind of a neat little thing. Do you want to take a quick break? Actually, you know what? Let's do something else first before the break. We want to talk about evangelism really quick before the break, and then we'll have a break, and then we'll come back and do some other things. All right. We have to talk about evangelism. I kind of give it a, what is evangelism? What is it? What's the purpose of evangelism? It's on the screen. Seeking the lost. Evangelism is about bringing people to Christ. All right. There's a couple of interesting things that are happening right now. First of all, we know that kids, like youth, between I think it's between 16 and 20, 22 is the age where many kids will leave the church, or they will not. The church becomes unimportant to them. Right. It's very important to keep them locked into the church in this age. Right. This is the time, and it says this in your book. It says it like this is the crucial time where a lot of kids will actually leave, and just Christ is not important to them anymore. That being said, just last week I was listening to CBC Radio, and there's a new trend where people are coming back to the church. Christianity, like specifically Christianity, like it was CBC Radio. They did a thing on Christian youth coming back to the church, and they're saying it's happening more and more over the last few years. They're seeing more and more, and I can't remember the age, but I think it was between 18 and 26 or 18 and 28. A lot of people are coming back too, and lots of churches are having to expand their youth services to have more programming for older youth and young adults, which is nice. I didn't listen to the whole thing, so I'm not sure what the reasoning is, but there's this thing happening right now where it seems like a lot of kids are coming back to church, which is great. All right. But we also know that it is an age where a lot of kids leave the church. So evangelism is super important for us as leaders and to give to our youth and to teach them. What I put in front of you, I'll do this quick. There's different kinds of evangelism. There's different types. What you have here basically are some scenarios, and there's also different disciples or apostles with their style. I want you to look through them and try to match the disciple with the style. Got it? Go. I have an extra one. Who's here? You guys. Evangelism And when we teach our kids about evangelism, Christ talks about it. Is it on page? What page is it on? 62. Where so remember in evangelism, Jesus talks about the four stages. He talks about Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the world, right? When he talks about spreading the word, and he says Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the world, right? What do those represent? Do you know? Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, the world. When he talks about the four, how do we use that in our lives? How do we teach the kids about that? What's Jerusalem? Home, right? We start evangelism in our house, right? And so we talk about with our little kids, are you waking up your parents on Sunday morning and saying it's time to go to church? That's evangelism. You're literally bringing them to church. And grade twos can evangelize by bringing their siblings or their parents saying, let's go, we have to get up and go to church. They're awake anyway, bring your parents along, right? And we can talk about that with our youth as well. Are you evangelizing in your home or in your inner circle of friends, right? Judea is one step out of that. That could be your church friends, your close friends. What are you doing to evangelize to them, right? People in your inner circle, people in your classes. What are you doing to evangelize to them? The next one is Samaria. So outside of that, what are we doing to evangelize? And then the world is the world. What are you doing to evangelize in the world? And you can see the different styles. I want you to look at those styles. Which of those best describes you? You don't have to say it, but just look at them. Which one best describes your style? If you want to take it. Can we all see ourselves in one of them? Or two of them? Because sometimes there's two that work for us. All right. On page 71 in programming, there's a little activity. And in that activity, it says reflect on 6 different stages styles of evangelism and rate them in order according to which comes most naturally to you. So you can rate yourself. And then if you teach Sunday school, think of your class list. I think of the kids in your class, and can you put names down of kids in your class based on any of them that fall into these categories? And it'd be nice if you could figure that out. Which child is which type of evangelist, right? And when you can talk to them about evangelism, talk to them about different kinds of evangelism, right? You can do this activity with them as well, right? But the idea is we have to evangelize, right? Making disciples is about evangelism. It's very, very important, right? And we have to talk about the fear, and it's okay to be afraid, but we also know that God will carry us and God will speak for us, right? And teach that to your kids, all right? Evangelism in a nutshell. All right, 5-minute break. We'll come back and talk about designs and procedures. So remember that what we're doing here, the purpose of our sessions is about youth ministry design, and it's about designing a youth ministry and how it is that we design a ministry that makes disciples and serves the purpose of making disciples. The very first, our first week, we talked about mission statements, and we have to have a direction in order so that we know where we're going, right? So today we're going to spend a little more time about that mission statement. We're going to go deeper into how we put that mission into action. All right. So this is chapters from design, I think. Oh, sorry, no. Hold on. Oh yeah, sorry. It's a balance. So chapter 6 and 7 from design is what we're talking about now. All right, a balanced design and procedure, and designing a procedure. So we're talking about procedures now and what they are. All right, and to talk about procedure, we have to go through some terms. So there's an idea of vision, aims, and strategies. We're going to spend some time talking about these 3 things, right? And the vision is the big picture. All right, the vision is where we see ourselves, right? Or the purpose of what we're doing, right? What's our vision? So what's our purpose, first of all? What's our purpose? Disciples. So our vision is that by the time the child goes from pre-K to grade 12, when they leave grade 12, the vision is that they are all disciples. That's our end goal. So if everything is done perfectly, what our vision is that all of our kids leave Sunday school as disciples. That's our vision. To see that vision, there are aims and strategies. So the aims are what you intend to do to reach the vision, and the strategies are how you're going to implement the aims. And we'll talk more about that so that we're clear about it. All right. But I want to first talk about this is a teaching term, but I bring it in because it's important. The idea of a professional learning cycle, right? They do this in teaching. They do it in business, but it's the idea of never being done. All right. And we use it in education where we talk to our teachers about professional learning cycles, where let's say they want to teach a concept. All right. Chemistry, they want to teach stoichiometry. It's a chemistry concept, right? They plan the lesson on stoichiometry, then they act. The act is giving the lesson on stoichiometry. They do it for the kids. They observe, and then they reflect. How to go? So the observe is they give the lesson, watch the kids, assess the learning of the kids, and they reflect. And once they reflect, they go to their plan and they change it and they update it. Okay, what worked well? What didn't work well? What should I change? What should I keep? Right? And the idea is you should never ever give the same lesson twice. Never ever. Right? We talk about teachers, right? Are you teaching 1 year 30 times or teaching 30 years? Right? And the good teachers teach for 30 years. They don't have the same book that you dust off every year and do the exact same thing. Because things change, kids change, culture changes, the world changes. We have to adapt to our learners, right? So you never ever want to take a lesson and take the same lesson from last year, dust it off, and do it the exact same way. Because over that year, many things have changed, including the kids, including the atmosphere, including what's needed, including the important things. So you're always planning, acting, observing, reflecting, and then planning again. And you're constantly going through this learning cycle, all right, in everything you do. So even though we have a curriculum and we create a curriculum, that curriculum is 1 year long, right? And you never want to take, so for example, if I was to use Children of the Light as my source for curriculum, I will never take that lesson and just read off that lesson and exactly the way it is. I cannot. It's a good starting point, but there has to be room for yourself in the lesson. Right? And when you create curriculums, you have to make sure there's room for the person giving it. They have to have their own flavor in that lesson. Okay? Vision. We talked about vision. So in youth ministry, if youth ministry is to be effective, it must have a clear picture of where it is going. We talked about direction. We start with the end in mind. All right? Our purpose is to make disciples. A vision statement, we say it's one that grips the heart. Right? The vision statement is one that grips the heart. And we'll go through some examples. All right? But we talk about models and vision are related. Models and vision are related. The model of ministry leads to the vision. Okay? And this is on, in design, it's on page 104 and 105. I'm not sure if we have to go through them. And it gives examples of vision statements. And it ties them back to, remember we did the models of ministry? We did all the different models of ministry. So it ties vision statements to the different models of ministry. All right, that's what those pages do, right? So if you're doing an incarnational model, what's your vision? If you're doing a collective model, how does your vision change? All right. But basically, what does our vision look like? And we want to spend some time talking about vision. And we said that vision is something that grips the heart. And vision is what we want. If everything was perfect, what we would end with, right? That's our vision, right? The vision is what I want this to end with if everything is perfect, all right? And so some companies have vision statements, right? Have humanity, a world where everyone has a decent place to live, right? That is their vision. Has it come to fruition? Are they done? No, they're not done because there are still people who are not living in great living conditions. But that's their vision. If everything was perfect and they did everything right, there'd be a world where everyone has a decent place to live. Amazon to be the Earth's most customer-centric company, to be the place where people can come and find and discover anything they might want to buy online. They're getting kind of close. They're kind of there. I don't know, but that's their vision, that you can find anything you want on Amazon. All right. Pages of School Board to prepare each student for a successful future as a lifelong learner. Right. I guess that's mine. I talk about it because I have all the data for it. Right. So we're going to take a deeper look at Peel. Right. So that's their vision. So if we were to do everything right in Peel, every graduate would be prepared. We would prepare every student for a successful future as a lifelong learner. That's what we want. That's our vision. Okay. How do we do that? Oh, hold on a second. Right. We have to talk about aims and objectives. All right. A vision statement is an example of an outcome. Before it can be reached, there are a number of steps that must be achieved along the way. These steps are represented by aims. Aims are often integrated into the vision statement. Aims are not how-to statements. I'll talk about that in a minute. All right. So we said that the vision of Peel is that. So what are some things we can do to help reach that vision? Right. So people got together and they came up with some aims. All right. So our vision is to prepare each student for a successful future as a lifelong learner. To this, we aim to, and I made these a little smaller. They're actually bigger in real life. There's more words in them, but we aim to create positive, supportive learning and working environments. If I create a positive learning and working environment, that should help support students to become lifelong learners, right? If I encourage everyone to reach their highest standard. So if I create an environment where all the kids are reaching their highest standard, we hope that will help reach the vision, right? I want to offer diverse programming to help students fill their passions. So diverse so that every learner has an outlet, all right? That's one of my aims, all right? Lead in creative, innovative use of technology. Ensure equal access and opportunity for all, so that all kids have opportunity to learn and to reach their potential. Communicate open, welcome involvement from families and staff. So the idea is, if we were to nail all these aims and get them all done right, what we should get is our vision of preparing each student for a successful future as a lifelong learner. All right? Think of the same thing with us. If our vision is that every child leaves grade 12 as a disciple, what are some aims we have to make that happen? What are some things we have to incorporate into our curriculum and into our Sunday schools to make sure that we set up our kids for success as being disciples? All right? This is a great thing to do in a servants retreat. Great activity to put together some aims to help us reach that vision. What are some things we can do? Right? What are some activities we can do, or inner activities? What can we do to fulfill? And what are the different things we can do? All right. Strategies help us attain the aim. So how do we get the aim? And so I'll give you an idea. Okay. An aim is what we intend to do. A strategy describes how we do it. All right. So, for example, if I want to create positive supporting learning environments, learning and working environments, what are some strategies I can do? Right? Can I teach can I go and do PD with teachers on the different issues that students have today and how we can support our different learners and how we can invite them all? All right. Encouraging equal access. Am I putting things in place so that my marginalized kids have just as much opportunity as my non-marginalized kids? Right? Am I putting things in place to help the learners who are neurodiverse, or my ASD kids, or my kids who don't come to school ready to learn? To have a breakfast club, so kids that come hungry have a breakfast for free. Right? All those things are things we can do, right, to help. Those are strategies to fulfill our aim. Oh, we talked about this already. All right. So again, what are some strategies? I said that. What are some strategies we can do to help fulfill these? All right. So the idea is we have strategies, and there can be more than one strategy for each aim, but all the aims lead to fulfilling the vision. Understand? All right. So we'll do a little activity really quick, just to kind of put it together. Okay, I'm doing this fast, but you can see the idea. Let's say that my vision is that I want to be physically fit. Okay? My vision is that in 5 years, I'm going to be physically fit. What are some aims? What are some things I can do? Talk amongst yourselves. What are some things I can do? Some aims to reach physical fitness. What are some things I can do? Talk amongst yourselves. What do you think? Okay, do you have answers yet? Some aims. What are, I have 3, there could be more than 3. But what are some aims? Do you have ideas already? Okay, give me one aim. Pardon? Diet. So if I want to be physically fit, one aim is to have a better diet. Watch what I eat. What's another one? What's another aim? What's another aim? Consistent in what? Amazing. Okay, consistency. Great. I don't have that one. That's a good one. What else? Some other aims. Sleep regulation is amazing. Very good one. That's an aim. Or is that a strategy? Well, that could be an aim. It's an aim. Anything else? Exercise. That's a good aim. Anything else? Anything else? I put 3 down. I put 3 down. I put diet, cardio, and strength. So I said diet is one. Watch what I eat. Some kind of cardio training, running or elliptical or whatever, and some kind of strength training, lift something heavy. All right. So those are the 3 aims to fulfill my physical fitness. All right. If those are my aims, what are some strategies? What are some strategies I can do to help me with my diet? What are some strategies? Routine. Say more. What do you mean routine? The diet? Okay, explain how. Oh, cardio. Okay, put in my schedule, right? Every Tuesday, I'm going to the gym after work. Boom. Great. Yes. Establish a meal plan, right? So I could say that I'm gonna prepare my meals on Sunday for the entire week, something like that. Establish a meal plan, right? What else? What are some other strategies? Pardon? Buy dumbbells. Buy some weights for sure. That's a strategy. Anything else? For a diet, I said don't buy junk food. Don't have it in the house. That's a great strategy, right? I talked about meal planning, cardio. I talked about I thought about elliptical once a week, strength training, going to the gym at least 3 times a week, or doing something like that, right?
For cardio and strength, like sign up for classes. For example, if you feel like you don't know what to do, like have a guide, like someone that.
Yep. And so that's the other thing. The other thing is that the idea is that aims can or strategies can change. I can try a strategy. If it's not working, I can change it. And it's the same with our youth ministry. I can try something. If it didn't work with that professional learning cycle, I can change it. I can change my strategies as long as they lead to my aim to help with my vision. Get the idea? Cool. I wanted to, you know what? Creative ministry. It's not longer than 15 minutes. Yeah, we'll leave that till next week because I don't want to do it now because we're running out of time. It's going to take about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I don't want to go over. I'll show you a video. One more video, and then we'll finish a little early today. All right, just because if I can make the video work, let's see if this works. This is anyone here hear of Francis? Is it Francis Chan? He's very good, but he's very creative in the. We talk about creative ministry. He's very creative in the way he teaches. Right. So I found this video. Again, he's very creative in how he gives his lesson. He's reading from Malachi chapter 1, verse 6 to 9, but I'll let you watch it. See if it works.
Because I realized, see, all my life, I was brought up in a youth group. I got saved in high school. And I remember my youth pastor just gave us to show up to youth. And then And when it came time for singing, he would beg us, please, someone sing. Come on, louder. How about we go boys against girls? Let's make it a competition. Who can sing louder? And when we finally sang, he'd be like, good, good, good. And so I had this impression that God was in heaven going, come on, please, just give me anything. I'll take anything. Because that was kind of what I saw. And then you read in scripture, and Jesus, God himself here is going, that's all you got from me? Would you do that for your government? Would you even give that to another human being? And you're going to give me that. And it was at that day I was like, God, I want to give you my leftovers. Whatever's best, I want to give you the best. Because so often with our time, our finances, I brought some chicken with me. Okay? But this is what we do, okay? Whether it's our time or our finances, let's say this is our finances. You go, oh, Lord, thank you. And what do? We go, well, I got to pay my mortgage. And then, I got my car payment. I got to pay for that. I started thinking, got to eat. Got to have life insurance. I got to have retirement. Cable TV, go to the movies, eat out, go on and on and on with everything you want. Like you keep taking bites of whatever you want first, and then once you're all done, you're going, here's one. And now that's crazy, but the crazier part is many people actually believe that God's in heaven going, oh, cool, good, there's still some meat on that. That's what the priests in Malachi's day thought. Let's just spend on ourselves. Let's do what we want. If I have a little bit left over in my pocket, I'll give it to God. We do that with our time. Invest all this time into our work, our families, and not bad things. This is our entertainment, this, that, and it's like, oh, I got 2 minutes right before I fall asleep, I'll pray. And we think God's in heaven going, oh, what an angel. And that's what these people were thinking, and God's going, are you kidding me? You wouldn't even give that to another human being. You're going to bring that before Almighty God. But here's the verse that really hit him.
Okay. So the idea of giving your best to God, I just want to end with that today. As we work through ministry design, as we work through Sunday school, as we work through preparing lessons and everything, we have to remember that the most important thing is that we give our best to God. We give to God first, and we give our best to Him, right? We do this all for ourselves, not for God. God doesn't need it, right? We serve because we worship. We serve because we evangelize, right? It's why we do what we do. We serve to make disciples. So I wanted to end with that. He's amazing. He's really good. All his stuff is really, really good. But yeah, that's what I wanted to end with. And we'll do, next week's going to be a bit of an activity-filled week. So we'll do some creative ministry stuff. We're going to do a little lesson plan next week. We're going to go through a lot of these quite quickly, but we'll get it all done next week. All right? Next week's our last week, by the way. It's been a fast time. Good time, not a long time. All right? Okay, thanks all. See you next week.